Welcome to this quick overview of the Spark Compass platform and its specific capabilities around contextually intelligent communication and messaging with end users across a sporting venue or a sporting event. What we have here on the right side is an Android mobile phone being mirrored to the screen to illustrate and facilitate viewing what happens on the end user's phone. And on the left side, we have a corresponding backend that manages the app content and behavior going on the end user. So I'm going to launch the Spark Compass app on the right hand side, as you can see. That'll load, in this case, an instance that we created for one of our clients, which is the Association of National Olympic Committees World Beach Games, to be held in San Diego next year, the inaugural edition. This ANOC event will basically have a series of features related to fan engagement and enhancing the visitor journey that we will be helping drive via a mobility and a platform solution. So you're getting a glimpse of some of the features around that, specifically again, whatever is related to contextual awareness. So just a quick overview and highlight on the right hand side, as you can see, there are some features that have to do with banners, for example, buttons on the bottom menu. There's also a feature set that's linked via a menu on the left side. Those are all elements on the user interface or UI that are managed by the backend too. So this backend, if I click here, you're going to see there's a section for menus, for the banner menu, the toolbar menu, the main menu, each of which has a corresponding set of data rows that have been added. This functions as a CMS properly, and what it enables at some point is also the ability to customize and personalize the UI, the experience, based on segmentation and profiling, whether that's nationality, the sports that the fan has selected as preferred competitions, and even imported data from an existing CRM if and when available. So going back to the main focus of this short video, which is contextually intelligent communication. So for those purposes, the platform has the ability to set up things like geo-locations or geo-fences, beacons. We could also set up NFC tags, anything that has to do with understanding proximity or location and hyperlocation tracking for end users with an app. So in this case, for example, we see a listing of specific geolocations. In this case, it's a list. Probably makes more sense to click here and view them as a map or overlay on a map, where you can see this is the city of San Diego, where we have the airport down here. We have one of the hotels, for example, and if I zoom in into the event venue, you're going to see how we have separate geo-fences or geo-locations for the championship courts, for the concert area, the shuttle area. Down here we have the sports venues, etc. So all these geo-fences that we've created here were set up manually using this backend. Any of the saved or stored geo-fences in real time, as they're stored and saved here, will begin to be tracked or logged in as users with the phone and the app installed and the location service enabled go in and out of these locations. Data points will be started to be created on the data log. So anyone, again, with the phone, with the app installed, location service enabled, that goes in or out of these areas will have a data point created on our backend system, which of course accumulates a very extensive set of data points, which will later on enable very detailed analytics, heat maps, and a bunch of other behavioral analysis reporting and viewing of information. So just to illustrate the simplicity on the back end for managing this type of geofences, I'm going to, in this case, create a new geofence for SeaWorld, which is an amusement park in San Diego. Just going to type in a name. And as soon as the pin appears here, I'm going to drop it where I want it to be. And more importantly, I'm going to right click it to start creating a polygon just as easy as setting some points around here, as you can see. That creates a polygon, and again, in real time, as soon as I save this, there's nothing to be done on the app side. Any user with the app installed and location service enabled will start creating invisibly, so to speak, without disrupting their user experience, a data point on the cloud environment on the back end on our platform, illustrating or creating a record for that entry or exit from such geofence. So I'm gonna save this as a SeaWorld geofence so you can see how easy it is later on to create an associated campaign or a message. Before I go into that, there's another element or layer of location tracking that we can also implement, which are BLE or Bluetooth Low Energy Proximity Beacons. We are a vendor agnostic platform in the sense that we can integrate to multiple vendors and brands of such devices. In this case, I have a sample beacon here where we can see there's some metadata associated to that, latitude, longitude, signal strength, which basically indicates how responsive the beacon is to the decibels or the signal strength based on users walking by or being very close to the beacon, and how that again triggers some logging of events, specifically an entry or an exit event. If I go back to the map where we were looking at the geolocations, you're going to see that if I go to the beacon section, there is one beacon there in Belmont Park, which is again the World Beach Games main venue. We have a sports grill bar, and there's where a beacon has been placed. So any users, again, with the app and Bluetooth enabled that come in proximity of that beacon will be creating a data point on our platform. Now, we've covered, of course, this data logging layer, which essentially is very powerful in terms of creating or accumulating information on behavioral tracking for users. But more importantly, there's also the ability to associate events based on those interactions. And those events, of course, normally could be messages. So I'm going to quickly, just for the purpose of this demo video, create a message that's going to be a web view with a URL sent to users, where it's going to be a notification with an alert telling them that, you know, welcome to SeaWorld. Take advantage of our special pricing for AWBG, for example, right? Have a typo here. And then once I create this, and maybe I just link them to SeaWorld.com, I'm just gonna set this to be a message for a SeaWorld welcome promo. That's just giving it a name. Gonna save this. This message has been saved and stored in the platform, but still hasn't been associated to what event is going to trigger it. So I'm going to go ahead and look for it here in the back end. And once I find it, here it is. I'm going to associate a trigger to it, which basically means we're going to define now what event is going to again trigger. That's the right word. The submission or the display of such message at the user level inside their app. So I can associate this to a geolocation or a beacon or an image target. There's various ways of triggering content to users. I'm going to associate it at this point with a beacon. I'm going to select the only beacon that we currently have set up. This would basically be a list of all the available and set up beacons that we have and across the venue. And then, of course, the event, which could be entry, which is the most common use case. Could also be an exit, meaning when the user leaves the proximity of such beacon. There's something called a pop touch, which is basically related to the UI and having users pull information rather than having that be pushed to them, which is great for non-invasive experiences. And there's also dwell time, which basically means that we only want to trigger this delivery of content based on having the users be close to that beacon for more than X amount of seconds, let's say 5 minutes. And that would basically show intent, maybe show that the user has been there because they're in a queue, they're in front of a kiosk. There's just all sorts of use cases that we can enable to differentiate and again segment or ensure that the content is delivered to the right user at the right time at the right moment. If it's just a beacon entry, that's the simplest, of course, example. We could also segment this and of course utilize existing demographic data such as age, gender, and as of course as more fields are made available to create segmentation, the more granular the campaigns can become. Right? This case could be male youth users. With a start date and an end date for this campaign, with a limiting of frequency, how many times this message wants to be delivered, maybe only once in a lifetime, maybe once a day, once an hour, once a week. It could be, again, a variety of combinations for such things. Of course, also there's scheduling, maybe you only want this to run on Tuesday all day. Anyway, there's a lot of possibilities that empower marketing users and implementation teams such as the ATOS management team, to create and manage campaigns to ensure proper timely delivery of curated content, again, to the right user at the right moment, time, and place. I hope this quick overview covered at a high level most of the questions or needs for guidance on what the platform can deliver for campaign management. I reiterate the availability for both the Spark Compass and the ATOS team to address any specific questions, and we will be in touch. Thank you for your time.